Hey everyone, welcome back to another Fat for Weight Loss video. In today's video, I want to talk a little bit about why the ketogenic diet might feel unsustainable and what you can do about it for you. So let's get into it. My name is Aaron. I am a nutritional therapist, a clinical weight loss practitioner, and a dietary supplements advisor, a whole bunch of other things, but also I help clients get to their goal weight and maintain it for life. So we do that in a ketogenic way or a low carb way, depending on what your goals are. But a lot of the times I get people coming to me saying, hey, look, I've tried the ketogenic diet. It's really unsustainable. I can't do this long term. This is not something that I find really works in with my schedule. And 9 times out of 10, they are doing these few things that make the ketogenic diet really unsustainable and make it really hard to be able to stick to in a real world. So what are those few things? Well, let's get into it. The first thing is that you might have this idea that lower carbs equals more weight loss or better keto, right? But in reality, when you start taking a lot of the carbohydrates away, you also start losing a lot of your favorite foods that might still be healthy, but just don't fit into that super low carb diet. Now, some of those things could be vegetables. If you're bringing your carbs all the way down to an unsustainable level, you might not have any room for vegetables. Over a long period of time, that ends up being unsustainable. So lower carb does not always mean more weight loss. For some people who are really insulin resistant, that can be a good idea, but for 90% of the people that I see, it's not always appropriate. I tend to track 40 grams of carbs with a lot of my clients. And I find that 40 grams of carbohydrates is really sustainable to be able to get to your goal. Now remember, if you are on a weight loss phase, you need to think about how long it might take for you to get to your goal. Now I've got another video that I'll link to up here, which is all about your expectations around weight loss and how long it might take to get to your goal weight. So if you haven't already watched that one, go ahead and watch it. But basically, it's going to take a little bit of time. And what I try and get clients to think of is that, what can I do to make this so that I can stick to it for the next 6 months? Because keto is not the only diet that helps you lose weight. There's plenty of other people losing weight on whatever kind of diet they're following. And it's not all about lowering their carbs down to the single digits that some people are trying to follow. If you can't do it for the next 6 months, then try and scale it back a little bit and make it sustainable for you. If what you're doing is currently not working, then trying to scale it back a little bit and then making 10% improvements from there can be really helpful. On a ketogenic diet, your carbs are already really low. So carbs are not always the best optimization to start tweaking with first up. There's lots and lots of other ways that you can be making progress towards your goals that aren't reducing the amount of carbs or limiting further the types of foods that you're eating. So I also see a lot of people who might eliminate dairy or might eliminate nuts or might eliminate FODMAPs or sugar alcohols, eliminate all these types of foods. But in reality, that's not causing the problem. They're failing to address a bigger problem, which might just be the quantity of food, or it could just be how much energy your metabolism is putting out versus how much you're actually putting into your day. And you might be relatively inactive, or you might be really inactive and your body's really stressed out. There's lots of much bigger factors that tend to go into a holistic attitude when it comes to weight loss. So thinking about how much stress you're getting, how much sleep you're getting, what is your mood like, how much exercise are you doing, how are you feeling during that exercise, how are you able to respond to stress? All of those things have a much bigger impact than just being able to crank down the amount of carbs that are in your diet. So keep that in mind if you are on a weight loss goal, that reducing your carbs isn't always the best answer if you're trying to go keto. And it's not always the most sustainable way to do it either. So the other big thing that I see a lot of people doing on the ketogenic diet is either not eating dairy at all or eating way too much of it and sort of just relying on cheese all the time to make up that portion of your meals. And I think there's a happy balance in between both of those, where if you're not dairy intolerant, you don't need to be excluding dairy from your diet. I don't think that that's necessary. If you are dairy intolerant, then you need to be, one, removing dairy or removing either the protein or the sugar that's causing the issues for you. So whether that's lactose or casein, that particular part that you're allergic to, removing that. then replacing the nutrients that you get from dairy, things like calcium, lots of those other nutrients from other foods that are dairy-free, repopulating your gut with good, healthy gut bacteria, because food intolerances break down your gut bacteria and they end up leaving you with a lot of problems in there. So being able to repair that and repopulate that is really, really important in a systematic way. So you don't always have to remove dairy from your diet if you're following a ketogenic diet, and you don't always have to be eating only dairy to fit your fat macros or your protein macros. Making sure that you're getting it from good, healthy protein sources, good, healthy fat sources, and then adding some green leafy vegetables in there, or even cruciferous vegetables, the occasional piece of fruit, that's much more sustainable than going swinging either way on this all or nothing mentality that's like no dairy or all dairy. So keep that in mind if you're following a ketogenic diet and you're feeling that it's unsustainable. Have a look at some of the practices you're doing on a daily basis that might be making it feel really restrictive for you as well. The other thing that I find as well is that when people go keto, they are very, very afraid to step outside of the keto realm and look into what other things could be happening or what other things are happening during their week. So for instance, if you've gone out for dinner with your friends and you've been kicked out of ketosis, well then, you may as well just keep going and just sort of start the diet again on Monday. But if you are confident in the fact that you can follow what is good for you right now in the present, then you can always be confident that you'll be able to do that in the future, because it's always right now. And that concept for me was like, whoa, okay, if I catch myself eating some chips, or if I have mindlessly been doing something that wasn't on my plan, or I wasn't being mindful of the particular type of food that I was eating, you can always stop mid-bite and say, look, I think that's probably not for me. I need to get rid of that. And then you can really be confident in the fact that you are able to bring yourself back into the present, because in the future, it's always going to be in the present. And this thing where you go, I've kicked myself out of ketosis. How long is it going to take me to get back into ketosis? How can I quickly get back into ketosis because I want to keep losing weight? The problem is that weight loss and ketosis are two very separate entities. Ketosis gives you the ability to burn fat, whether that's fat that you're consuming from your diet or fat that's on your body as stored adipose tissue, whereas weight loss means that you're burning up the stored adipose tissue that you have on your body. And so when you're in ketosis, you can be gaining weight. You can be maintaining your weight. You might not be losing weight, all because you're not following the principles of weight loss. And the principles of weight loss tend to hang around a lot of the sustainability part. If it's not sustainable for you, then how do you expect to follow it for long enough to be able to see the results that a lot of other people are seeing? So sustainability, number one. The balance with how much food you're getting in versus how much you're putting out through your metabolism, through your exercise, what you're doing through the day, how stressed you are, how well you're sleeping, all of that comes down to balance. And then the other, probably most important one as well, is that where are your macros at? If you focus on protein, then all of the other ones will fall into place. On a ketogenic diet, we tend to focus so heavily on fat that we forget about all the other ones. And it's just the way that a lot of online keto stuff tended to happen, was just this massive emphasis on fat. Whereas a lot of the time, depending on what your goals are, you can optimize for protein and it comes along with plenty of fat, and you might only need to add a certain bit here and there. If you're struggling with any of this, to be able to make it sustainable for you long term, to understand which part of the holistic process you might be lacking in, or maybe even just some help and some accountability on moving towards your goal, then I am here to help. You can always book a session with me down below, and we can work together to understand what are some of those things that might be going wrong for you, and what some of those things are that you're doing unknowingly that is making the ketogenic diet unsustainable long term. So it's not that the ketogenic diet is unsustainable, it's just some of the practices that you built into what you think is keto are unsustainable long term for you. So I hope that helps. If you have any other questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I hope this video has helped you at least make a couple of steps forward within your weight loss journey, and I hope to speak to you again very soon. Good luck.